Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to the B segment of episode 68 of The Loud House, The Spies Who Loved Me. We begin this segment at Great Lakes City, where we see Ronnie Anne is in her room putting some items into her backpack. Ronnie Anne then receives a video call from Lincoln, and Lincoln reveals to Ronnie Anne that Flip's Food and Fuel will be revealing a new Flippy flavor today, and Lincoln intends to try this new flavor. Ronnie Anne reveals to Lincoln that she's going to look at street murals that are located downtown. Lincoln then notices that Clyde has arrived at Flip's Food and Fuel, and he gets Clyde's attention. Lincoln also figures that Ronnie Anne would like to resume her preparations for her objective of the day. So Lincoln and Ronnie Anne bid each other the best of luck with their respective objectives for the day, and they end the video call. Ronnie Anne then opens the door to her room, and she sees that her grandparents were listening to her conversation with Lincoln. Ronnie Anne is not happy about this, but Hector and Rosa insist that it's a good thing that they were listening to this conversation. Because they bring up that they're in charge of Ronnie Anne's well-being while Maria is away for the weekend, and they say that it's unwise for Ronnie Anne to go downtown by herself because Great Lakes City is filled with dangers that aren't present in Royal Woods. Ronnie Anne assures her grandparents that she'll be okay. She mentions that she has the route that she intends to travel planned out. She has a Metro card, and if any problems do occur, she will make a point to call them. Hector and Rosa are still concerned, and Ronnie Anne says that Bobby is the one that they should be worried about because of Bobby's track record of getting stuck in the dairy case in the bodega. Rosa responds that they at least know that Bobby is safe even if he does get stuck in the dairy case, and Rosa also mentions that Bobby has plenty to eat. Ronnie Anne repeats that her grandparents don't need to be so worried because she, Ronnie Anne, has everything under control. Ronnie Anne then leaves the building. Hector and Rosa try to follow Ronnie Anne, but they don't get very far. Hector and Rosa don't leave the building, and Carlos Sr. and Frida eventually enter the part of the building that Hector and Rosa are in right now. Carlos Sr. immediately figures out that his parents are following someone, and he inquires his parents about who they are following. Rosa reveals that she and Hector are following Ronnie Anne because Ronnie Anne plans to go downtown by herself. Carlos Sr. and Frida do agree with Hector and Rosa's sentiments that they think it's unwise for Ronnie Anne to go downtown by herself. The Casagrande siblings also agree with these sentiments. The Casagrande siblings overheard Rosa mentioning that she and Hector were following Ronnie Anne and explaining why they were following Ronnie Anne. So the Casagrande siblings joined the rest of their family members, or they joined the rest of their present family members in the area that they're all gathered together in right now. Hector mentions that he and Rosa tried to convince Ronnie Anne to reconsider this course of action, but he says that Ronnie Anne was stubborn about going through with this course of action. Carlota then inquires Hector and Rosa if they're really sure that they should be the ones to follow Ronnie Anne. Carlota tries to figure out how to politely word the next part that she's going to say, but Carlos Jr., aka CJ, bluntly says that Hector and Rosa are old. Carlota then volunteers to be the one to follow Ronnie Anne to make sure that she's safe. Rosa is concerned about the well-being of all of her grandchildren, but Carlos Sr. says he agrees with Carlota's idea. Carlos Sr. points out that Carlota knows downtown the best among the Casagrande family members. Carlino, aka Carl, also volunteers. So Carlota and Carlino proceed to head off to follow their cousin. So the scene changes to somewhere downtown in Great Lake City, and we see Ronnie Anne has found a street mural, and she's taking a picture of it with her phone. She's also eating a soft pretzel. Carlota and Carlino are watching Ronnie Anne from a distance. They're in an alleyway right now. Carlota has activated video chat on her phone, and she's holding up her phone so that the other Casagrande family members can see Ronnie Anne. So the Casagrande family members notice that a pigeon has landed near Ronnie Anne, and shortly after that, more pigeons land near Ronnie Anne, and this causes most of the Casagrande family members to panic. Hector points out that Ronnie Anne is eating a pretzel right now, and Hector says something along the lines about how animals in the city will go to great lengths to acquire food. Carlino assures the majority of his family members that he has a plan. So Carlino finds some discarded food, and he tries to get the pigeons' attention so that the pigeons will go for this discarded food rather than trying to get Ronnie Anne's pretzel. But Carlino realizes too late that Ronnie Anne is gone. Ronnie Anne took some pieces of the pretzel and gave these pieces of the pretzel to the pigeons, and then Ronnie Anne went off somewhere else. So Carlino realizes this too late, and he does end up getting the attention of the pigeons, so the pigeons start to chase after Carlino. Carlota then follows after Carlino to help him with regards to those pigeons. So the next scene happens at a later point in time. Ronnie Anne has found another street mural, and Carlota and Carlino have eventually caught up to where Ronnie Anne is right now, and there's no pigeons in sight. The Casagrande family members watching through video chat notice that Ronnie Anne happens to be standing underneath an air conditioner that's on the ledge of a window, and they're worried that Ronnie Anne might get crushed by this air conditioner. However, a drop of water lands on Ronnie Anne's phone, and this leads to Ronnie Anne looking up, and she sees the air conditioner, so Ronnie Anne gets out of the way, or Ronnie Anne heads off elsewhere. So the Casagrande family members are relieved to know that Ronnie Anne didn't get crushed by an air conditioner. So the next scene happens at a later point in time. Ronnie Anne is walking down a sidewalk, and Carlota and Carlino are following after Ronnie Anne from a distance so that Ronnie Anne doesn't see them. But the Casagrande family members that are watching through video chat fear that Ronnie Anne isn't paying attention to where she's going. And they notice that up ahead on this sidewalk, there's a door that's opened up. This is a city cellar door. And most of the Casagrande family members are worried that Ronnie Anne will fall through this open city cellar door. Carlino volunteers to close this, Carlino assures most of his family members that he will close this open city cellar door. But when Carlino tries to get to the open city cellar door, he's stopped by a pigeon, and Carlino is nervous because of his earlier encounter with that group of pigeons. So Carlino doesn't notice that Ronnie Anne was already aware of the open city cellar door. Yes, Ronnie Anne was already aware of the open city cellar door, and she just walks around it. Ronnie Anne walks around the open city cellar door, and after that, Carlino manages to get away from the pigeon, but he ends up falling through the open city cellar door. So the scene changes to a later point in time. Ronnie Anne has found another city mural, and a bike messenger happens to be heading towards Ronnie Anne. And most of the Casagrande family members are worried that the bike messenger will hit Ronnie Anne by accident. So Carlino assures his family members, Carlino assures most of his family members that he will put a stop to the bike messenger he will make sure that the bike messenger doesn't accidentally hit Ronnie Anne. However, Carlino then sees that Ronnie Anne already knew about the bike messenger. Ronnie Anne hears the bell from the bike that the bike messenger is riding, and Ronnie Anne points out to the bike messenger that the bike messenger needs to slow down. So the bike messenger stops and then just goes around Ronnie Anne. So Carlino sees this and he tries to hide so that Ronnie Anne won't see him, but Carlino accidentally bumps into a male woman, and when this happens, when Carlino and the male woman accidentally bump into each other, the noise catches Ronnie Anne's attention, so Ronnie Anne sees Carlino. And Carlota tries to hide, but Ronnie Anne sees Carlota hiding. So Carlota's hiding spot didn't work. Carlota's hiding spot wasn't very effective. So Ronnie Anne immediately figures out that her two cousins were following her. Carlota, though, tries to claim that this is just a coincidence, but Rosa is talking through the video chat, and Rosa ends up revealing that, yeah, they were following Ronnie Anne. So Ronnie Anne takes Carlota's phone to talk to the rest of the Casagrande family members that are watching through video chat, and Ronnie Anne is not pleased with her. Yes, Ronnie Anne's not pleased with her extended family members spying on her. Ronnie Anne repeats that she has everything under control and that her family members need to stop being so paranoid. Ronnie Anne says that she will return home in a few hours, and she doesn't want anyone to follow her from here on out. So Ronnie Anne gives Carlota her phone back, and Ronnie Anne heads off elsewhere. Even though Hector and Rosa said that they wouldn't have any of their family members follow Ronnie Anne, Rosa still wants Carlota to follow Ronnie Anne. Carlota, though, says that she doesn't want Ronnie Anne to be angry with her, but Carlino lets his other family members know that he actually improvised a solution. Carlino mentions that he knew about the tracking device that his dad put in his jacket, Carlino's jacket. So Carlino took the tracking device and he put the tracking device in Ronnie Anne's backpack so they can track Ronnie Anne with the tracking device. So Carlos Sr. pulls out his phone and he pulls out the rudimentary map that shows where the tracking device is. The map doesn't really show any specifics. It's just sort of like a grid-looking map, and it just shows the tracking device. There's no visual of what's actually going on. It's just a grid-like map, essentially. But the Casagrande family members are relieved that they have a way to make sure that Ronnie Anne is okay. So after that, the scene changes to a later point in time. Ronnie Anne has found another street mural, and she receives a video call from Lincoln. And Ronnie Anne inquires Lincoln about how the new Flippy flavor, or what's the new Flippy flavor like. Ronnie Anne inquires Lincoln about what the new Flippy flavor is like, but Lincoln says he didn't get a chance to try it yet because the Flippy machine isn't functioning properly right now. But he says Flip is trying to fix it right now, and we do see Flip trying to fix the Flippy machine, but it's not a very effective method for fixing things, to say the least. Lincoln then inquires Ronnie Anne about what the street murals are like. Ronnie Anne says that the street murals do look very nice, but she reveals to Lincoln about how her family members had sent Carlota and Carlino to spy on her. Lincoln sympathizes with Ronnie Anne. He knows what that's like to have members of your family spying on you. And Ronnie Anne then mentions that she put a stop to the spying. The scene then changes to show most of the Casagrande family members back at home. Some of them are monitoring the tracking device, and they also have set up a bulletin board that has a map of Great Lake City, and they also have these markers, they have these symbols or magnets to place so that they know where the tracking device is. So they're coordinating with the map for the tracking device and the map on the bulletin board to determine where Ronnie Anne is right now. So back with Ronnie Anne, the video call with Lincoln had ended, and Ronnie Anne takes out her skateboard from her backpack, but the tracking device falls out of the backpack. Ronnie Anne doesn't see the tracking device. The tracking device lands in some discarded gum, and then Ronnie Anne rides off on her skateboard. A rat then approaches the tracking device stuck in the gum, and while the rat tries to eat some of the gum, what happens is the gum gets stuck to the rat, so the tracking device is stuck to the rat through the gum. And so the rat begins to head off to a different location, and because the map for the tracking device doesn't show any visuals besides just a grid map, the Casagrande family members don't realize that that the tracking device is no longer with Ronnie Anne. They don't realize this. So they're confused about why Ronnie Anne seems to be going in a certain direction, and eventually the rat eventually reaches a certain location. But when the Casagrande family members think back about what's on this particular street, they become very concerned because it sounds like it isn't a very friendly street based off of what the Casagrande family members talk about with this street. It doesn't sound like a very friendly street. So this leads to the Casagrande family members becoming very concerned. And Frida thinks that they should call Ronnie Anne. Hector points out that this will lead to Ronnie Anne knowing that they were spying on her, but Rosa thinks that's preferable to Ronnie Anne being in some sort of danger. So Rosa calls Ronnie Anne. Ronnie Anne has found another street mural, and then she gets the call from Rosa. Ronnie Anne grumbles to herself about how her family members are so paranoid, and she decides to not answer the call. This leads to most of the Casagrande family members thinking that either the battery of her phone had drained or someone might have taken the phone. So Hector thinks that they gotta go out and find Ronnie Anne because of the possibility that Ronnie Anne could be in some sort of danger. Frida points out that someone has to stay behind to watch Carlitos, and Hector points out that someone will have to watch Bobby too. So Carlos Jr. volunteers to watch Carlitos and Bobby, and Frida thanks Carlos Jr. for volunteering. So Carlota and Carlino have returned home, and Hector tells them that most of them are going to head out to find Ronnie Anne. So the scene changes later on. Most of the Casagrande family members have reached the street that the rat eventually arrived at, not realizing that the tracking device is with this rat rather than Ronnie Anne. So Carlos Sr. finds out that the tracking device is in an abandoned building now. So this leads to the majority of the Casagrande family members becoming concerned about Ronnie Anne's safety in this abandoned building. They enter the abandoned building, and eventually they do find the rat. And they do see they eventually run into the rat, and Carlota notices the tracking device on the rat. Hector thinks that the rat ate Ronnie Anne. Rosa thinks that Ronnie Anne was turned into a rat through dark magic. And then Carlota brings up what actually did happen, that the tracking device fell out of Ronnie Anne's backpack and got stuck to this rat. But Rosa thinks that seems to be a ridiculous idea, or that's along the lines of what Rosa says. But then this rat is not alone. More rats appear. The majority of the Casagrande family members are very scared to deal with an army of rats. So the scene changes to the joint bodega and apartment building of the Casagrandes. Ronnie Anne has returned home, and she enters the bodega. She sees Carlos Jr. and Carlitos are in the bodega right now. Ronnie Anne inquires where everyone else is because she actually went into the apartment building first but didn't see anyone in there. Carlos Jr. reveals that they went out to look for Ronnie Anne, and he also mentions how he's here to watch Carlitos and Bobby, and we see that Bobby is stuck in the dairy case right now. The phone of the bodega then rings, and Ronnie Anne answers the phone, and Hector is on the other line. So Hector is surprised to hear Ronnie Anne's voice. He realizes that Ronnie Anne has returned home. And Ronnie Anne, Ronnie Anne questions why they went out looking for her when she already mentioned that she had everything under control. So Carlos Sr. then takes the phone, and Carlos Sr. proceeds to catch Ronnie Anne up to what's going on. So Ronnie Anne's all caught up to speed, and she says that she's on her way. So, yes, back at the abandoned building, the army of rats are preparing to attack the majority of the Casagrande family members. But then Ronnie Anne arrives at the abandoned building, and she pulls out the soft pretzel that she was eating earlier, and the same soft pretzel that she gave some pieces to a group of pigeons. Some of the same soft pretzel that she was eating earlier and gave some of its pieces to a group of pigeons earlier. She has that soft pretzel still. And Ronnie Anne brings up how she knows that animals in the city will go to great lengths to acquire food, and Rosa admits that they thought that Ronnie Anne didn't know that. So Ronnie Anne proceeds to get the rats. Yes, Ronnie Anne gets the army of rats' attention with the pretzel. She tosses the pretzel into an elevator. The rats go into the elevator to get the pretzel, and then Ronnie Anne closes the elevator doors. So, yes, the majority of the Casagrande family members, or the present Casagrande family members, thank Ronnie Anne for helping them. And Carlos Sr. acknowledges that they learned something very important today. He acknowledges that Ronnie Anne can take care of herself, and Carlota acknowledges that Ronnie Anne can take care of herself better than they can take care of themselves. Ronnie Anne does appreciates the compliments, but Ronnie Anne acknowledges that she can understand why they would be so concerned, and she offers a solution to ease their concerns. Rosa thinks that this means Ronnie Anne will have the tracking device with her, but Ronnie Anne says that's not what she had in mind. Ronnie Anne's plan is to call them every few hours to check in with them to make sure that everything's okay. Rosa agrees to this if Ronnie Anne agrees to carry a lucky crystal, and Ronnie Anne agrees to this. However, Ronnie Anne and the present Casagrande family members hear the elevator door. They realize it's going to open soon, so they realize they got to get out of there before it opens. So they do get out of there before the rats escape from the elevator. So the scene changes to back at the joint bodega and apartment building of the Casagrandes. Ronnie Anne is in her room, and she's talking to Lincoln through video chat. And Ronnie Anne has just finished telling Lincoln about how she saved most of her family members from the army of rats. And Lincoln is glad that Ronnie Anne and her family members are okay. Ronnie Anne then inquires Lincoln about if he got a chance to try the new Flippy flavor yet. Lincoln, though, says that the machine still isn't functioning properly. And Flip offered some free nachos, but that won't happen until the nacho cheese machine functions properly. So yes, we see that the nacho cheese machine isn't functioning properly, and Flip is trying to fix it the same way he was trying to Flip is trying to fix it the same way he was trying to fix the Flippy machine, and that is how we end this segment. So this is another entry where a character who isn't a member of the Loud House gets to be the spotlight character and the viewpoint character. And in this segment, that character is Ronnie Anne. And this isn't the first time that Ronnie Anne got to be the spotlight character or the viewpoint character, but there are still some notable differences. In this particular segment, the last time Ronnie Anne got to have a major focus in Season 3 was City Slickers. She did appear in Missed Connection, but she only briefly appeared for one scene. She was more the spotlight character in City Slickers. That was the last time when Ronnie Anne appeared. That was the last time when Ronnie Anne had a major role in Season 3, I should say. So Ronnie Anne's last major role in Season 3 was City Slickers. So this is where Ronnie Anne gets another major role. But this time, most of the Loud family members don't appear in this segment. Yes, Lincoln's the only member of the Loud family that actually appears in this segment. And even then, Lincoln only has a few quick appearances here or there through video call. So otherwise, this segment mostly just focuses on Ronnie Anne and her extended relatives, the Casagrande family members. Bobby does appear briefly, but he has no dialogue, and it's just brief appearances. And Maria is not present in this segment. We know that Maria was away for the weekend, but we don't know why. We don't know where Maria was. We don't know why she was gone for the weekend. We just know she was gone for the weekend. But I imagine that some fans have probably come up with some speculation about that. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe some fans had made some fan works that offer possible explanations for where Maria went. And maybe there are some fan works that actually focus on Maria off on these off wherever it is that she went. Again, we don't have an explicit answer, but I wouldn't be surprised if fans had come up with some possible explanations for where Maria was this weekend. But yes, this was mostly about Ronnie Anne and her dynamic with her extended relatives. And this actually does, and yes, Lincoln actually does bring up that this is something that he can relate to. Yes, Lincoln knows what that's like to have family members that try to spy on him or follow him or try to spy on him. Yeah, this isn't the first time when, yes, Lincoln brings up that he knows what that's like to have family members spy on you. Although, in the case of the Casagrande family members, in this segment, it's made very clear to us that the Casagrande family members meant well. They had their hearts in the right place. They were just concerned about Ronnie Anne's well-being, especially because Hector and Rosa had brought up that Great Lake City is filled with dangers that aren't present in Royal Woods. So that's why we can see where, you can definitely see where the conflict is coming from. Ronnie Anne brings up that she was mostly a lone wolf, like she was known to head out and do things by herself. Yes, Ronnie Anne brings up that she had gone off to different locations by herself back in Royal Woods. And Hector and Rosa were concerned about that lone wolf approach because they thought the lone wolf approach was unwise in Great Lake City because Great Lake City was filled with dangers not present in Royal Woods. And we do get to see some of those dangers, but we also do see that Ronnie Anne was able to take care of herself. Now, at the same time, though, Ronnie Anne, by the end of the segment, though, yeah, that's something I liked about this segment was Ronnie Anne and the Casagrande family members did both learn something from the segment. The Casagrande family members did acknowledge that they underestimated Ronnie Anne, even though they did mean well and they had their hearts in the right place. And at the same time, Ronnie Anne did acknowledge that they did have good intentions, and she did offer a solution to help ease their concerns. And yeah, I think it's safe to say that Ronnie Anne would go to her family members for help if she really was in a situation where she couldn't handle things by herself. And that's okay. I mean, that happens sometimes. Sometimes, yes, it's good to try and take care of yourself. Self-reliance is a good thing, but at the same time, there are some situations that a person just can't do on their own. There are some situations where a person does need help, and that's okay too. It's not a sign of weakness if you need help. So yes, self-reliance is good, but seeking help from others isn't a weakness either. So that's what I liked about this segment. Ronnie Anne and her extended family members both learned something out of the experience, and I did appreciate that. And another important detail is, yes, because Lincoln had a very backseat role, or yes, Lincoln took a backseat in this, he took a backseat role in this segment, only briefly appearing here or there, and this stood out in particular because most fans consider this segment to be a prelude for what we can probably expect the spin-off series, the Casagrandes, to be like, or at least what some of the stories from the Casagrande spin-off might be like. And this stands out now as of the recording of this video because the first 5 episodes of Season 4 also are preludes to the Casagrande spin-off. The first episode of Season 4 is a full episode, while the 2nd through 5th episode of Season 4 are divided into an A segment and a B segment. But yes, those first 5 episodes of Season 4 are also preludes to the Casagrande spin-off, like how this segment was a prelude to the Casagrande spin-off. So, if nothing else, it does help to give viewers an idea of what we can expect from the spin-off. And I think that was a good call to try and give viewers an idea of what they can expect in this spin-off series, since as of the recording of this video, the spin-off series hasn't aired on TV just yet, or it hasn't premiered yet. So, yes, we'll eventually see what the spin-off series is like once it eventually premieres. But for now, this segment and the first 5 episodes of season 4 do at least give us an idea of what we can expect. And I think that was a good call to ease viewers into the spin-off series and help to show what what Ronnie Anne and her family members might be like. Or yes, show us some stories. I think that was a good call to show us stories about Ronnie Anne and her family members, where the Loud family members are either in a very minor role or don't appear at all. So I thought that was a good idea to ease into the spin-off. And otherwise, we do get to see a little bit of what Lincoln's up to. We just see a few moments here or there with Lincoln waiting to try this new Flippy flavor. We don't know the full story, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe some fan works decided to fill in the blanks in between the times when Lincoln called Ronnie Anne through video call. Maybe there's some fan works out there. I'm not sure. I haven't seen them if there are, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there are some fan works dedicated to Lincoln's own story of trying this Flippy flavor. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe some fans even tried to speculate about what the Flippy flavor was exactly. Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, I did notice Renee was in the background. Whenever the scenes showed us Flip's food and fuel, Renee was in the background, also waiting to try this new Flippy flavor. And I mentioned it before, I do like how Renee has made some background appearances throughout season 3, because I think Renee is a character with a lot of potential. So I think it's a good thing that the staff and crew members didn't forget about Renee. Even if she hasn't had a major role since back out there, I'm hoping that her still appearing in the background means that the staff and crew members didn't forget about her, because I think it would be nice if she did get another prevalent role. I think there's a lot of potential for the character. So otherwise, yeah, I would say that's about it for this particular segment. So once again, we got another segment where Ronnie Anne got to be the spotlight character and the viewpoint character. This segment also acts like a prelude for what we can expect for the Casagrande spinoff, or what we can expect the Casagrande spinoff to be like anyway. And I did think the lesson was pretty good, because it showed both sides in a sympathetic light. It wasn't hard to understand why Ronnie Anne would be annoyed by her family members spying on her, but at the same time, her family members spying on her was shown to be because they meant well and they had their hearts in the right place. And they both did learn something out of this. The Casagrande family members did learn that they underestimated Ronnie Anne, even though they had their hearts in the right place. And at the same time, Ronnie Anne could understand where their concerns were coming from and did offer a solution to ease their concerns. So I thought that was a heartwarming approach. And otherwise, yeah, like I said, there are some details that I'm sure some fans would want to explore in greater detail that were presented in this segment, like where Maria went off to for the weekend and what Lincoln waiting for the Flippy flavor was like and what this new Flippy flavor tastes like. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some fans decided to explore those details in greater detail in fan works. But otherwise, I would say that's it for this segment. So as of this video, we've now discussed the B segment for episode 68 of The Loud House on this channel. Take care, and until next time.